Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex, and today we'll talk about Train Sim World 6. And while the core game already brings stunning launch routes, today we're diving into the full picture. We'll explore launch routes, the Deluxe Edition Locomotive, third-party and official DLCs, and even what the roadmap hints at for the future. From the dramatic coastlines of the UK to Germany's historic first long-distance line and the busy commuter corridors of New Jersey, TSW6 offers a diverse range of railway experiences. Each route highlights different aspects of rail operations, including infrastructure, train performance, and signaling systems. The simulator allows players to explore both historical and modern lines, from regional services to high-speed operations, giving a clear view of how trains interact with the environment and with each other. With random event and engines getting broken, TSW6 presents a detailed and immersive railway experience for every type of route. TSW6 was first revealed with the Riviera Line, showcasing the simulator's attention to detail and variety in rail experiences. Stretching along scenic coastal landscapes, the Riviera Line combines sharp curves, changing gradients, and diverse station environments, offering both visual appeal and operational challenges. This 60-mile stretch runs from Exeter St. David's to Paignton, with connections towards Plymouth. It's world-famous for its dramatic seawall section through Dawlish and Teignmouth, where trains run right along the edge of the Devon coast. This line traces its history back to the 1840s and still serves as a vital corridor today. It carries a mix of local GWR sprinters, such as the Class 150, alongside the modern Class 802 bimodes that have replaced the iconic HSTs of the past. While there's no information yet on whether HSTs will lay on tracks, the route also hosts cross-country's high-speed Voyagers. Altogether, it blends rich railway heritage with modern intercity operations, making it an iconic addition to TSW6. We'll be traveling through 14 stations, running along the seawalls and picturesque landscapes. Local commuter services will be handled by Class 150 sprinters, while the longer intercity runs will most likely be operated by cross-country Voyagers and GWR Class 802s. And that introduced us to the first Deluxe Edition locomotive, the Class 220 Voyager. Long story short, it was built by Bombardier in 2000 and entered service in 2001. Built to replace the aging intercity 125s in Class 47 sets. Formed of 4 coaches, these diesel-electric trains reached 125 miles per hour and can run over 1,300 miles on a single refuel. Since 2007, they've been operated by cross-country and remain a familiar sight across the UK. The Riviera Line might not be my usual type of DLC, but I have to admit it looks solid. It's definitely a nice addition to the game, and one that's well loved by UK rail enthusiasts. Next up, we head to Germany, the Leipzig-Dresden Railway, at around 106 kilometers. This is not just another main line. It's actually the very first long-distance railway in Germany, opened in the late 1830s. Today, it's a busy double-track electrified corridor running up to 200 kilometers per hour. In most cases, you'll see DB Regio Talent 2 trains, push-pull Dosto trains behind Class 146s, tilting ICET intercity sets, and plenty of heavy freight hauled by DB cargo locomotives. Historically important and operationally diverse, this is one of the strongest German routes we've seen yet in the series. In addition to the standard traffic, the Deluxe Edition introduces another DB Shunter, the BR-294, planned to handle shunting operations around major yards and stations, and likely to run short trips along the line as well. The first true V90 locomotive entered production in 1974, fitted with 1,350 horsepower engines and capable of speeds up to 80 kilometers per hour or 50 miles per hour, but since 2003, many units have been modernized with a new 1,500 horsepower engine. It's a long route, released as an extension to the original Dresden Riese line. But honestly, during the preview, the tracks looked quite empty, despite the route offering a lot of variety. The yards also felt bare once again. Of course, this was work-in-progress footage, so there's room for changes. But if that's how the final product turns out, it could be a bit disappointing. Hopefully, trains from other DLCs like the Class 187 Freight Hauler DBBR 155 and maybe other standalone locomotive DLCs will be layered in to boost immersion and add more traffic. So far, I've seen a picture of the 363, but that came with the original route, and we already know the content from the original route will carry over. Moving to the other side of the world, the spotlight falls on the Morristown Line in New Jersey, running about 40 miles between New York City, Hoboken, and Dover. This commuter corridor first opened back in the 1830s and has evolved into a modern, electrified lifeline for thousands of daily commuters. It's home to a LP46 electric locomotives on push-pull double-deck sets, Aero 3 EMUs coming for the first time in the game, and the dual-mode ALP45 DP coming as a Deluxe Edition DLC. This locomotive is able to switch between overhead wires and diesel power. This makes it a unique blend of history and cutting-edge versatility, capturing the daily rhythm of East Coast commuting. It's a nice extra for collectors and fans, adding more variety right out of the gate. Now that's what's confirmed at launch. But what about the future? Looking at the roadmap, we can already see hints of upcoming DLCs, new rolling stock packs, and some completely new lines being developed for the months ahead. TSW has always expanded quickly after release, and TSW6 looks to be no exception. Also, the Take a Ticket segment introduced us to some really exciting surprises, so let's talk about them. Some of the information in this segment comes from different online sources. Since DTG articles are often quite sparse for routes that aren't close to release, distances and details might not be 100% accurate, so I apologize if anything is slightly off. First stop is the West Coast Main Line Crewe to Preston, developed by Just Trains. About 48 miles of electrified main line, set in 1986. This was an era when the Class 86/4 electrics ruled intercity services, while Class 47s and even Class 20s worked freight and secondary passenger trains. It's a nostalgic period recreation when British Rail was still in charge of the nation's busiest intercity corridor. The West Coast Main Line dates back to the 1830s and remains the backbone of UK rail travel, but here, you'll get to experience it in the heart of the 1980s. The route brings an upgraded Class 20/0 with a headcode box variant and new slow-speed control, plus a brand new Class 47/3 with cab changes and the same precision system for coal duties. New HAA hoppers, upgraded HEA with fresh livery, and Mark IID and Mark I coaches. Moving to the Europe and cut to modern days, a new developer, Virtuavia 360, introduced us to the Portugal for the first time in the game with the Lisbon to Setúbal line, running about 54 kilometers of the electrified suburban corridor. Here, you'll drive the Serie 3 500 double-deck EMUs, built around 2000 by Alstom and CAF. They operate frequent commuter runs under the Fertigus brand. Historically, travel south of Lisbon required ferries, but today, this line is a vital suburban lifeline, and TSW6 will capture it in full modern operation. This DLC delivers a highly detailed commuter rail experience across 14 stations, with authentic Portuguese signaling, real-world timetables, and the first-ever 1,668mm gauge in TSW. Next, we cross the Atlantic to New York, the New Haven line coming from DTG. From Grand Central to Stamford via Metro North route, or New York Penn to Stamford via the Northeast Corridor route. This DLC introduces the Kawasaki M8 EMUs, dual-voltage sets that can run on both third-rail DC and overhead AC, perfect for seamless service from Manhattan into Connecticut. Not many screenshots so far, but it will come as the project is getting closer. Heading to Europe, we stop in the Czech Republic. If you like rural routes, this is for you. The Liberec-Stara-Paca line, a 80-kilometer single-track winding through the hills of Jezera Mountains in northern Czechia. This DLC features classic CESC equipment, the Class 843 diesel rail cars, and Class 750 locomotives with regional coaches. These older trains capture the charm of Czech regional rail before the 2019 takeover by Arriva and modern Disero units. Historically, the line dates back to Austro-Hungarian railway expansion, making it a deep-cut choice for TSW fans who want something different. And honestly, I'd never been so excited about a DLC before. Back to Britain, this time from Birmingham New Street to Crewe, created by All Aboard Studios. Spanning about 48 miles, this busy section of the West Coast Main Line links the West Midlands with the Northwest. The Class 350 makes another appearance, featuring all three subclasses 350/1/2 and /3 with accurate 2019 liveries, interiors, and branding. Unique Unit 350-235 in its British Transport Police livery also appears across the timetable. With over 350 playable services, you'll experience a full weekday of commuter and express operations. It's a modern contrast to the 1980s Crewe-Preston route. Here you'll find Avanti's Class 390 Pendolinos at high speed, West Midlands Railway's Class 350 Deseros, and plenty of modern freight. Historically opened in 1837, this corridor remains a central artery for Britain's passenger and freight traffic. It's also planned to come as the first DLC after TSW6 release. During the Take a Ticket segment of Dovetail Direct, they showed us the Tadami line in Train Sim World 6, built by Union Workshop. Until now, we'd only seen pictures, so seeing it in motion was impressive. Opened in stages between 1928 and 1971, this single-track rural route spans 135 kilometers through the mountains of Fukushima and Nagata. While it's unclear if the entire line will be featured, it's still a welcome addition. It's one of Japan's most scenic lines, with iconic bridges over the Tadami River and breathtaking autumn foliage. In-game, it's set in 2010, the final years of the classic Kiha 40 DMUs, which ran here until 2020. These slow but characterful trains top out at 65 kilometers per hour. This line isn't about speed, it's about atmosphere, immersion, and the kind of rural Japanese railroading that's rarely seen in train simulators. From Japan, we head to Germany's Frankenbahn, specifically the Stuttgart to Heilbronn section, about 50 kilometers long. This historic line dates back to 1845. The DLC highlights the 2000s commuter era, with DB Class 140 locomotives, tough Bo electrics first built in the 1950s, working push-pull regional bond services. These trains often used untyped coaches with the distinctive Wittenberger cab cars, allowing locomotives to run without turnarounds. DB Class 145 is for players looking for a challenge, coming from Train Sim Germany. This is only the second official expert locomotive in Train Sim World so far, built between 1997 and 2000. The Class 145 is a freight-dedicated cousin of the Eurosprinter family, reaching 140 kilometers per hour. In TSW6, it's paired with T3000E intermodal wagons, modern freight flats designed for swap bodies and containers, making it a perfect match for heavy German intermodal traffic. With advanced handling and realistic systems, this loco is aimed squarely at players who want a deeper, more authentic driving experience. And that was the end of the Take a Ticket segment. They were covering all the upcoming routes, near-term releases, and future projects. But that's not all. Actually, we have a couple of more DLCs into the roadmap list that we need to talk about. First up is the Class 805 from All Aboard Studios. These Hitachi B-Mode trains are Avanti West Coast's new flagship, entering service in June 2024. There are 13 5-car units, each capable of 125 miles per hour. They're bi-mode, meaning they can run on electric overhead wires or use their underfloor diesel engines when the route isn't electrified. These trains replace older diesel Voyagers, especially on key West Coast routes. In the game, you can expect to see them on many routes that has London Euston featured as a station. For Germany, Train Sim Germany brings the DBBR420, the classic electric multiple unit originally introduced for the 1972 Munich Olympics. These 3-car emus were the backbone of Munich's S-Bahn, running at up to 110 km per hour under 15 kV overhead lines. They feature the boxy slide door design typical of early commuter stock. In addition to their original article that we already covered in another video, TSG made some changes. BR420 pack now features 5 versions of the train. Alongside the Munich 8th series and Frankfurt 6th series, an orange-gray variant with new cab and interior is included. Split into 3 trains, one Frankfurt AI version for the 1984 Left Rhine timetable, plus 2 for Stuttgart to Heilbronn, including a traffic red livery accurate to the 2000s. The retro versions lack LZB and Ebula and use older radios. And also worth mentioning, a new Munich-Augsburg timetable is added with this DLC by swapping some 423s with 420s on Gen 9 only, giving the Munich variant more playability without overloading memory. The TFW142 Pacer, developed by Just Trains, is a very different experience. These 2-car DMUs were built in the mid-1980s as a cheap, short-term solution for branch lines. They ran for over 30 years, mostly in rural northern England, Wales, and lightly used commuter lines. Known for a rough ride and minimal facilities, Pacers became infamous in British rail history. The TFW Class 142 will run on the Dovetail Cardiff network route, and it will bring an additional 2019 timetable. Next, we have the Santa Fe Gameplay Pack from High Iron Simulations. This DLC focuses on the classic 1990s Santa Fe freight era across the Dovetail Games Cajon Pass route. First of all, we get two locomotives, the C40-8W, rocking the iconic war bonnet livery and that wide cab design. We also get the SD40-2 in the classic Santa Fe blue and yellow livery. I actually have a video ready for this pack, but I'll wait until closer to the release date since I'm still missing some details. I'm being very critical with this one, and you'll probably want to check it out when it's out. Carried over from TSW5 roadmap, like most of the latest mentioned projects, Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear, developed by Skyhook Games, focuses on one of the most specialized types of freight, nuclear transport. You'll be hauling radioactive cargo in shielded flask wagons on flat cars. Operations require slow, careful driving and strict adherence to safety rules. The pack highlights heavy freight technology and the challenge of moving high-value, higher-risk cargo safely. Finally, the GWR-HST Farewell Pack, coming from Grumpdog Games developer, celebrates one of Britain's most iconic trains, the Intercity 125 high-speed train, introduced in 1976. These sets ran at 125 miles per hour and became synonymous with the Great Western Main Line. The HSTs were gradually replaced by Hitachi at 300s, with the last trains retired in 2023. In-game, you can drive them on the Great Western Express route and London Paddington 2 Reading Line, experiencing the final era of these legendary trains in their classic liveries. And that's finally the end of the list, and we made it all the way through. In future projects, I'll be diving deeper into each DLC individually, so there's plenty more to come. On the other hand, I'm also working on a short video about a major problem that Epic Games players, myself included, are dealing with. It's a serious issue that really needs fixing, and I'll be releasing that video later today. I was Alex. Thank you so much for your patience. I know this was a long video, but there was a lot to go through. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.